In Onitsha, the commercial nerve center of Anambra State, high-rising buildings are a dominant feature. The city is synonymous with story buildings, and it is rare to find bungalow and small buildings. The first-story building in Onitsha was built in the year 1945 in Amobi Street in Eboh area of Onitsha. Available statistics suggest that 6 out of every 10 houses in about 70% of streets in Onitsha have at least 4 floors and above, more than any other city in the country. In Onitsha, there is no housing estate by the government. They can only locate land to you and you build your houses yourself. Landowners in parts of Waliwo, Eboh, and Omoba areas started with 3-story buildings, and later Awada and Fegi areas upped the ante and have increased the trend to 5-story buildings. The trend would have continued, but the State Urban Development Board now scrutinized such development and has not been given approvals for high-rising buildings above 5 floors. Although no one could say exactly who began the trend, it is gathered that 80% of the high-rising buildings were owned by non-indigenes of the town. Onitsha indigenes that occupied mainly the inland town areas, some parts of Waliwo, Old Market Road, and others built mostly single-story buildings for family use from the colonial period up to Nigeria's independence and the start of the Civil War in 1967. But residents and settlers who came to Onitsha for business started the commercial 3-story buildings after the war from 1970s. The roots of the trend of constructing story buildings in Onitsha is the enterprising spirit of the Eboh man. Most of the landlords who had such buildings in different parts of the city started with practical nothing after the Civil War. The now thickly populated areas of Fegi, Awada, Waliwo, Eboh, and the rest today were thick bush before development started. You know the story of giving the Eboh man £20 after the Civil War. No matter how many millions the person might have stashed in the bank before the war. That was what many people started with after the war, and look what they have today. The enterprising spirit of the Eboh man was at work, and there is no competition in destiny. Within a few years of doing business, many raised money and started buying land, and before you knew it, story buildings sprang up everywhere. Further research revealed that another reason for creating high-rise building was to maximize space. Onitsha, the commercial heartbeat of Anambra State and the melting pot of the southeast, is hampered by inadequate landmass. Because of the Niger River and the Nkisi River, Onitsha city seems to be restricted and many people are left with little space to build and live in. Because of this phenomenon, many people in Onitsha and the neighboring Eboh were engaged in many years of struggle over land. Eboh people used raw power to grab most tracts of land earlier surveyed as Onitsha land. Such land was then sold to residents and settlers who did not hesitate in erecting story buildings on the portions of lands, since getting another plot to develop was not easy to come by. While many Onitsha indigenes in those days were lawyers and got involved in several litigations over land, Eboh people lacked enough legal practitioners, so they had to rely on engaging services of lawyers from other parts of the country. But what the Eboh people lack in human resources in terms of indigenous legal representatives, they made up for it in physical struggle. They annexed many plots of land in Awada area which originally belonged to Onitsha people. They quickly sold the land to various businessmen from other parts of the Eboh land living in Onitsha. And the buyers proceeded immediately to build on the land, because getting another parcel of land was not easy. The developers reasoned that it was better to use one plot to build skyscraper that could contain about 16 flats, which were rented to tenants, instead of looking for 4 or 5 different plots and building bungalows there. Onitsha is a small city, and with a bike it is easy to connect the entire city in about 30 minutes. But the building of story buildings did the magic in containing the large population of the residents. If not for this trend, there is no way the city could accommodate its large population. It takes several millions of naira to build a 4-story structure today. Considering the high cost of building materials, the builder also sees it as an investment with the intention of making profit. Tenants also complain of high rents, and by the time the landlord fixes everything in the house and also sinks borehole with running tap flowing into the various apartments, not many people can afford the rent. That is why they mostly leave out the water aspect so that the tenants can afford to pay and also source for water on their own. This is one of the reasons why people are clamoring for the return of the good old days, when the Anambra State Water Corporation was functional. That time, after building, you just went and paid the corporation and they will extend the pipe to your home and you enjoy public water supply just like electricity. When this is done, life will be a lot easier for the residents in Onitsha. Erection of story building has come to stay. It is already a lifestyle. Property owners are even willing to buy off any remaining bungalows, knock them down and erect 5-story buildings. The funny thing there is that before the finishing touches are done, prospect tenants have already paid for the flat. That is Onitsha for you. Thank you guys for watching. That's all I have for you today, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. And if you do and you want to support the channel, you already know what to do. Hit the like button below, share with your family and friends, and subscribe. I will see you when next I talk to you. Cody.